Today, we actually have two new products launched from Sony. One is a camera, Sony A1II, and the second one is a lens, Sony 28 to 70mm f2.0 G Master lens. I've had a chance to play with both of them. I've had them for like over a week. I've shot a bunch of photo shoots, I've run a bunch of comparisons, and then I sent them back. In today's video, I'm gonna give you an overview and my thoughts about Sony A1II. There's going to be a separate video about the lens, so you can watch the lens video separately. And also, please expect more coverage on both of these camera and the lens in comparison videos in the upcoming days, so make sure to subscribe if you have not already and click that bell thing so you don't miss any of these videos. If you are new around here, my name is Magic. I'm a destination wedding photographer. I'm Sony Europe ambassador, and I'm also father of 4 children, so that's my life, and this is my little world of YouTube when I break down camera gear, mostly Sony camera gear for wedding photography. So if you're into any of these niches, consider subscribing. And quick disclaimer, I did get these lenses for test purposes, but there was no obligations for me to do anything. And while I am a Sony ambassador, I have not been paid to produce this video, or Sony does not review any of my videos. So my videos are my personal thoughts about cameras and lenses, but consider me biased because I am a huge Sony fanboy. All the photos that you will see from A1II were also shot with a 28 to 70mm zoom lens, so you can also review that while watching this video. And while, again, this video is not sponsored by anyone, it is sponsored by me. Today I launched my Black Friday campaign, and this is the biggest sale of the year for all of my educational content. Specifically, you can get the full bundle of presets with over 3 hours of editing course and my Imagine AI profile for as low as $75, the lowest price you will ever see on this set. Or you can go for all in, the master collection, for as low as $199, which is insane value. Also today I opened pre-registration for my upcoming retreat in April in Iceland. We just came back from my November edition and it was amazing. We had a blast, and I'm doing one again in spring. 12 people, 4 nights in an amazing lodge, extreme conditions for epic photo shoots, master classes. This time I'm also adding one-on-one sessions, and like this retreat literally has it all. And if you sign up before December 1st, first of all, you get discount of $500, and also you'll get the master collection, so that like all of that digital asset, you're gonna get them for free if you sign up right now. All the links are in the description. Okay, Sony A1II. So first of all, I am Sony A9 Mark III shooter. I've been shooting with dual A9 Mark III setup for the last 12 months and I love this. Now we're getting A1II that actually looks identical to A9 Mark III. We have the same body design, so we have upgraded grip, refined grip next to the shutter button. We do have C5 button in the front. We have the same screen that goes all directions and the same viewfinder. What is different design-wise is the port situation on the left side of the body. So we do have like kind of the same ports with one addition. Now the LAN port is 2.5 gigabit Ethernet, so 2.5 faster. So for those who actually use that and need that, this is huge for transferring all these huge 50 megapixel files. The port layout itself, it's quite different from the A9 Mark III due to the internal differences within the cameras. So you can see here side by side the difference between A9 Mark III and Sony A1II. And what are those internal differences? I feel like the biggest one is the one when I received this camera, the first thing I wanted to see, does this camera have mechanical shutter? And it does. So that's the huge difference between these two cameras. So A1II comes with the same mechanical shutter as we have seen in A1, the one that can sync with flash to up to 1/400 of a second, and the one that has this anti-vibration mechanism, and it's like really quiet for a mechanical shutter. The sound is very pleasant, quite different from the Sony A1I. So A1II and A1I, that's how we're gonna say, or old and new. And kind of that's it regarding the body design of the camera. There's 2 more surprises in the box. So when you purchase this camera in the box, you'll have the new dual battery charger that is being charged via USB-C, which is amazing in my opinion. And then we have the new iCup. So you have the normal one, the one that we know and used to, and then there's the new one that is bigger and softer, and it's really nice. Spec-wise, A1II is basically A1I upgraded with all the features known from the recent cameras. So everything that Sony introduced since A7R5 with the AI chip. The sensor remains the same. This is a 50 megapixel sensor that can shoot up to 30 frames per second with electronic shutter and 10 frames per second with mechanical shutter. But thanks to that AI chip, we get all the features that we know from the previous cameras that are, first of all, I'm going to be reading. So object recognition, that's superb. And this is the biggest change, the biggest upgrade in terms of like the way you use the camera and the performance of the camera. So A1II is going to be like just a better performing camera in terms of autofocus thanks to that AI chip and the object recognition. There's one new thing now. So like in the menu, when you get to choose which type of objects you can recognize with your camera, so like a human, bird, animal, insects, car, train, now we do have auto. We don't have to choose anymore. We can let the camera choose on its own. So that's a happy addition, but nothing super major, right? Thanks to that chip, we also have the improved processing, like image processing, that actually gives us a better ISO performance that you can see here. This is a side-by-side 12,800 ISO image from A1I and A1II. So the same sensor, but as you can see, there's a better performance in terms of a lower noise with the new camera. And also, thanks to the AI chip, like as known in the previous cameras, we have a better auto white balance and in general, better color processing. Is there anything new then? Is there anything specifically exciting? We do have new IBIS. We went from 5.5 steps in A1I to 8.5 in A1II. And we do also have an improvement on the video spec. So now 8K video can be shot at 422 10-bit format. So that's also kind of a big improvement in terms of video for those of you who shoot 8K. We do have one interesting improvement in the AF area. So we now can choose the extra small spot known from A9 Mark III, and we do have completely new AF area type, which is called custom. You can literally customize now and make your own zone. You can like make up to 3 of them, and it's actually pretty cool. So we can, like you see this menu now, you can, by using a dials, you can make it bigger, smaller, wider, and you can literally make like a tiny strip going through the frame horizontally. And I feel like this is something that can be really helpful for those of you who have very specific types of shoots and, very specific stuff happens in your frame, like birds flying, on the top of the horizon, and you can create your custom zone that is going to be just the top half of the frame. So there, I feel like there's a bunch of use cases for that. So that's like also a very nice addition. I can see this being a future feature in A9 Mark III via firmware update. I would expect that at least. But for now, this is a thing that does only exist on A1II. So what is my experience with shooting A1II? The experience is actually flawless. It feels exactly like shooting A9 Mark III. And again, that's coming from someone who's been shooting A9 Mark III for the last 12 months. So you pick up this camera and it feels exactly like A9 Mark III, with the difference that you now hear and feel actual shutter mechanism, which I kind of missed, to be honest. Like I missed the shutter. And the other difference would be you're not able to shoot 120 frames per second. But other than that, like speed-wise, the autofocus-wise, it's as fast as A9 Mark III. It's picking up the subjects from far away. So all these photos you see now, I had to actually export them as TIFFs from the Imagine Edge because Lightroom does not read the files yet, but you can see like the quality is there. The quality is beautiful. Everything is like ultra sharp because we're shooting 50 megapixels. The colors are beautiful, even though I had to edit them from TIFFs. And like the experience of shooting again with this camera is completely flawless. It's beautiful. It's as fast as it can be and as comfortable as the most comfortable Sony camera at this point, which is Sony A9 Mark III in my opinion. So let's now talk about the price, the value of this camera, and my take on whether this is a good upgrade. So European price for A1II is 7,500 euros or 6,300 pounds in UK. Not sure about American price, but probably very close to that. And like either way, this camera is definitely not cheap. The price is not much higher than the initial price of Sony A1, the first version when it came out. So we're kind of in the same bracket in terms of the price. But again, like this is a like quite big investment. At this price, you can get like 2 A7R5s or 3 A7 IVs. So like you can have like a multiple bodies, cameras, lenses in the price of this one. But there's truly no camera like this. There's no camera that can shoot this high frame rate with this high megapixels, blackout free, like a stacked sensor, like all of this stuff, AI chip, like everything like there is in terms of in the Sony land of cameras is in this camera, is packed in this camera with a beautiful quality, with a high ISO performance, really low noise. So like this is actually a great improvement to Sony A1, but first gen A1 is a still very capable camera. You can get pretty much like 90% of the shots, like maybe depending what you shoot, because you don't have that recognition, the AI recognition, which works really great. And I feel like this is the biggest difference between these two bodies, apart from the ergonomic aspects of the A1II. But now we kind of have this lineup that has A1II and A9 Mark III, which are very similar cameras. Like at the point that the first A1 came out, it was truly the one to rule them all. It was the only one to have all of these features. I feel like at this point, the A9 Mark III is pretty much on par with A9 Mark II. Like these cameras, they should be actually named, in my opinion, A1 and A1R. So the R would be the 50 megapixel one, and the one without R would be the 24 megapixel one. And that would make, in my opinion, much more sense, because again, these cameras are pretty identical. The only difference being the A1II has more megapixels and it's slower, better image quality thanks to the higher megapixels and so on. And then A9 Mark III is faster, but has less megapixels and like lower quality because of that. So you sacrifice image quality for the speed, and then here you sacrifice speed for image quality. So other than that, pretty much identical cameras in terms of how they work, how they look, how they feel, and what these cameras can do. For me personally, I am very tempted to switch either one of my A9 Mark IIIs to A1 Mark II, or get like A1 Mark IIs as my main cameras and still have A9 Mark III, because I feel like I cannot let go that 120 frames per second. I love 120 frames per second. I use it on every wedding I shoot, believe me, even though this is not meant to be a wedding feature, I freaking use it. I'm working currently on the long-term review of A9 Mark III for wedding photography. So if that's something interesting for you, make sure to subscribe, because this is going to be a very interesting video. But I'm tempted by A1 Mark II because I do love to have like more megapixels. I would love to have more megapixels. But here's one thing, and like that's quite big for me. So the A1II update, the refresh, let's call it refresh, A1II refresh, is adding everything we know, is adding all the major features, everything into A1, making it truly like the most capable camera at this point. But because there's nothing like super new in this release, I kind of feel that like it's awesome for now, but over time we might see the updates for like in the next 12-24 months with the possibly new A7 V or A7R6 that are going to be adding stuff that A1 will not have. So we kind of will have the same situation again, that A1 is kind of at the end of the refresh cycle. So we already had all these features that came up previously to other cameras, and now they are brought to A1, while I would much prefer to have A1 to be at the top of the refresh cycle, so be the first camera to introduce all these new amazing features, and then these features should be brought down to the lower models. That's like, I would feel that this is much more fair, especially with the high price that you're paying for this camera and the high value. Like this is supposed to be the one, but I can't stop thinking that, you know, we're gonna see the new features in the next year or two that will make the A1II kind of obsolete like very quickly. You know what I mean? Like, let me know if you agree with me in the comments. While I cannot necessarily think about any performance features that the new future cameras can have that's gonna actually blow this one out of the water, like there's nothing I can think of. There's one thing that I'm constantly thinking that Sony cameras are lacking, and I would love to see that in the major update like this. And this would be a new screen, because Sony is like one of the best TV manufacturers in the world, and they have amazing panels for their TVs, and then the camera screens, like, they simply suck. They're just like not as good as the competition. And in my opinion, like, this is like the major gripe that I personally have. I would love the screens to be more crisp, more contrasty, deeper blacks, and we do not have that. And if something like this happens, I would love to see it, you know, within a refresh like this. And if that comes within the next year or two, that's going to be a major refresh for any new camera. And now we're going to need to wait for A1 Mark III to you know, inherit this screen. So like, that's kind of my biggest issue with this release, because other than that, this camera is nothing less than perfect. Stay tuned for upcoming videos. Make sure to subscribe once again, and thank you so much for watching the video, and check out my Black Friday stuff. It's really amazing if you're planning to purchase any of the courses or presets.